There's too much here to be lost. When I was 6 years old, I heard my dad murmur those words when we looked out over the broken old cow town of Medora. And I think back on that time, and I wonder if his words were kind of forlorn, if he was kind of sighing and saying, feeling a sadness of knowing something was disappearing, not really understanding what it was or what to do about it. But, I didn't know what was going through his mind. I don't know what was going through his mind now. But that comment put us both on a trajectory to immerse ourselves in Medora from that time on. It's a great day in America, folks, and it's always a super good day when you're in Medora. Thank you for joining us for the Rough Riders Roundup. Your support for the Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation really is paramount to our success. Nancy and I always enjoy this event because we get a chance to visit with so many friends that we've made over the years and make some new friends, and it's just always fun to be with you all. I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce our family who have made the trek to be with us today. First, my lovely Nancy. Nancy's kind of the first lady of everything. You have to stay up, Nancy. But really, for 30 years, Nancy has stood by my side and lifted me up and cared about me, and I for sure would not be here today without her guidance and support. And I'm blessed to have you, Nancy, in my life. Thank you. Son Tom and Jill Schafer, and our grandson, Ed Schafer III, a.k.a. Trey, are with us today. And why don't you hold your applause, because we have a little greeting to do afterward. Daughter Ellie Schafer and her wife Heather Rothenberg are with us. Son Eric and Carrie Jones, with grandsons Caden, Caleb, Ethan, and Evan. We have daughter Kari and Andy Hammer, and grandchildren Drew, Anna, and Nathan. We have son Elijah and Deborah Maluk and their grandchildren Lake, Agat, Isaiah, Achol, and Eli. It's Elijah's birthday today, so we're glad to be here. And, I want to add, of course, our extended family, brother-in-law Rolf Sletton, and, gotta get up, and daughter and Emily, and daughter Medora Sletton, who's sitting back there. So, I'm going to ask all of our family to turn around and say hi to everyone. Hi, all. It's National Say Hi today. So, National Day to Say Hi. So, I was thinking about that, and I wanted the Schafer family to be some of the first to say hi to you all today. Last night, we were sitting at a table, and Clarence said, there really should always be a Schafer involved in Medora. And I said, there will be. There always will be, because every one of you, every person in this room who comes in, who supports Medora, who absorbs Medora, who cares for Medora, you become part of the Schafer family. So I'd like to recognize you all too, so get up and say hi, everybody who feels that you're a member of the Schafer family and the Medora family. That's a fun family reunion. So to start with today, I have to point out that Randy rarely makes a mistake. He made a big one today. And I know we're running late, and I'll try to be brief, but he told me I could take all the time I need for my slot on the agenda. And as I step down from an active role after a lifetime involvement in Medora, I do have a few comments to make. Well, anyway. Nancy and my family motto is, the sign of God is you will be led where you did not expect to go. And I can assure you that when I was a little kid on that bluff overlooking the shadows of the Little Missouri, I never would have imagined all of the mountaintop experiences and places where we've been led. And I have to say that most people who knew me then still don't believe it. But after watching that video, I was really humbled. I kind of jumbled up with what even words to say, but I'm reminded of what my dad's comments were after reading his autobiography for the first time. There's too damn much in here about me. So, when I was preparing my comments for today, I thought back to a few years ago when Brother Rolf asked me, when did you move on from following your father's footsteps to finding a passion in Medora for your own? I contemplated that, and I finally decided the question, Rolf, isn't when, but why. I traveled beside my dad to and from Medora long before the seeds of Medora, of the new Medora, were planted. I worked here in the formative years, lots of jobs, including scraping the bark off the logs to build the 2 log cabins, which was a fun job, and of course having the chance to be the stuntman in the Medora musical was often fun. But you know, I had the responsibility for the business after moving back east to run the mothership. I came back to North Dakota when the Public Foundation was formed and led the transition of the assets and the formation of the structure. All of that standing in the shadow of Harold Schafer. As the TRMF presence emerged, I started to appreciate the history here and how the people of the Old West created an honesty and community as they grappled with uncertain provision. I wondered what grabbed Theodore Roosevelt when he visited. In his first letter to his wife Alice, he complained about most everything. The water was bitter and nearly undrinkable. The milk tasted like alkaline. He saw the land as desolate and barren. The men drank and cursed, and the hotel was terrible. He did appreciate the horses. 10 days later, he was so captivated by his surroundings, he bought a ranch. You see, a short period of time in Medora can change lives. Roosevelt returned to New York, and sadly, his wife and mother died just 5 months later. He sought solace back at his ranch in Dakota Territory, and it was right here where he healed his soul, overcame a lifelong illness, and really became the rough and tough Rough Rider that we all know so much about. And I wondered what caused the future president to have positive, life-changing experiences in the Badlands, and how I might grow by spending some time here. As I started to experience life in western North Dakota for myself, I grew to appreciate the quiet and the solitude in these majestic hills, what Nancy calls quietude. As I was living a harried life, the peaceful and slower pace became attractive. But it wasn't until Nancy and I had the assignment to represent the United States of America on the global stage that I realized how great this country really is, and how our values and moral courage and freedoms are generated in rural places where you can touch the land and absorb the goodness of nature and humankind. Do you feel the freedom here? The most important element for freedom is the responsibility for people to self-generate values, morals, and character. And that is what really cemented Medora into my soul. The Western North Dakota experience can inspire people to self-generate the attributes of freedom. People come here from all walks of life. They shed their trappings for just a little while. And here's a snapshot of some of the things they can absorb while here. Walk 100 yards in any direction and find quietude for self-reflection. Attend the Medora musical and come away tapping your toes and maybe even singing in the shower, but take home some happiness. Many couples have met while working here or visiting here. Some come back often, and some have settled in and are raising their families in Medora. I love these stories because people do find love and happiness. Hundreds of friendships have been formed. Volunteers, historians, workers, horseback riders, and campers all come together with a common interest. I made friends while working here in the 60s who are still connected today. Friendship. A few years ago, an employee from Ukraine was severely injured in a bike accident and was in a coma. She had a brain injury, and the prognosis was not good. Randy sent an HR person and another Ukrainian worker to the hospital every day. So in case she woke up, there would be someone there who could comfort her and communicate. Lori took the night shift, and the employees raised money to have her parents travel here. She started getting better, and she came better. Her parents did not fly over. And when she improved enough to come for a discharge, the money that was raised for her parents was offered to her to fly home. She said, "No, I want to go home to my family in Medora." She'd been an employee for 2 weeks. We are a family who values family. Yesterday, I saw 3 generations who were enjoying family time in a fun, clean, family-friendly place. Something for everyone to experience together. And we're all about work here. Everywhere I go, people tell me Medora was my first job, or I learned to serve people. I learned responsibility. My job in Medora prepared me for a successful career. Roosevelt said about his life in the prairies, "Ours was the glory of work and the joy of living." In our Life Skills Center, we groom future leaders. We teach service and manners and responsibility. We even try to get them to say, "You're welcome," instead of the dumb phrase, "No problem." A second-year employee, after listening to a presentation on integrity, returned $400, admitting that he had stolen cash from the retail store where he worked the year before. As you heard in the song earlier today, don't steal, don't cheat, don't lie. We instill integrity and character and honesty here in Medora. I do wish we could do something about people's driving habits, but whatever. Bill Sorensen said, the Badlands can't be explained, but once seen can't be forgotten. TR learned this, and that there was so much beauty here in these lands to be lost, that he started the cradle of conservation. Too much beauty here to be lost. A traveler mentioned his father wanted to visit all 50 states, and North Dakota was the last one. He brought his dad out here to the last state. And after spreading the ashes over these beautiful Badlands, he commented, "If Dad were alive, I think this would have been his favorite." Medora is a place where you can still get lost and a place where you find your way. And we're all about innovation. You know, TR said, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." Yesterday, I watched a maintenance worker take a scrap piece of metal, pound it out, shape it just right to fix a door at the Badlands Motel. Sometime when you're here stopping the maintenance shop, you can't imagine what they have to do to keep things running around here. It's pretty amazing. A camper tells us that she was suffering from cancer. And every night, her daughter prayed over her and assured her they would get back to Medora. She said, "I'm here today with cancer in remission because her optimism made me fight to stay alive." Medora is all about courage. One year, the national anthem was dropped from the show. A board member pounded his fist on the table and said, "As long as I'm around, the national anthem will be in the musical." Now, come to Medora and find out what patriotism is all about. And if you're of a mind to, come on Veterans Night for the Medora musical, because you'll really find out what patriotism is all about. Attend the gospel brunch and take home some renewed faith. But mostly, I hope you can look around this place and think about endurance. The Badlands have survived glaciers and storms and erosion and petrification and fires, and they're beautiful. Let that be a lesson to us in life's storms and difficulties. We can persevere. As I have now gone on the sidelines for the Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation, I'm reminded of a time when Nancy and I were hiking in the Grand Canyon. A couple on the trail kept stealing glances at us as we walked along the trail. And at a rest stop, they asked if we were from North Dakota. Of course, they recognized us, as they were too. Later, then, when we were packing up the cars in the parking lot, the lady came over to me and she said, "I always appreciated you as governor because after you left, things really started to get better." Then she got pretty flustered and she said, no, that didn't come out right. But so now the future of Medora is going to be up to you. And I'm quite confident that things will start to get better. A few days ago, I was on the North Dakota State University campus, and I sat there for a couple of minutes looking at a statue of Theodore Roosevelt. He is sitting on his trusted horse, Manitou. He's looking out over the campus. And I thought, he's overseeing a place where next generations are being shaped for good citizenship and to live productive lives in their communities, hopefully learning about fair play and a square deal. When Roosevelt talked to students, he charged them to act as good citizens in the same way that he'd expect any one of them to act in a football game. Hit the line hard. Don't flinch. Don't foul. But hit the line hard. In parallel, I believe Medora stands today with TR overlooking a place where we shape humanity, where we change people's lives, where we build a community of peace. So as we leave here today, I give you a charge. Stand on the shoulders of Harold Schafer and Teddy Roosevelt and help create tomorrow's Medora. Maybe you can sit up on Schafer Point and take in the view, but commit to support and serve and manage and oversee and strategize and volunteer to dream about this great place. In the Bible, we read, "Let us not become weary in doing good. For the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Produce an arena that can change people's lives. Work to add value, to discover purpose, and to find happiness. hit the line hard. There's too much here to be lost.